What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we had a lot of fragrances this year that were really hyped up. Not all of them were new releases. Some were newer, but these are ones that really got their share of hype. From some I took part in the hype on. Some others did, and so on. Some that were hyped by viewers and disliked because of hype by viewers, like all these different things. So I gathered 7 of the most hyped. And I want to give you my verdict on, was the hype legitimate? Are they really any good? Are they worth the money? Are they worth grabbing? Or are they just kind of overhyped? My personal opinion, of course, so take it with a grain of salt, but let's get into it. Stay tuned. One that I absolutely took part in on hyping was a new release from Lattafa. This is Bade'e Honor and Glory, and I gotta say, justified and warranted. Pineapple, spices, and woods. Hachivat meets Ani is kind of the consensus for the most part. Pineapple upside down cake. That's how I've said it from the start. It's delicious while still being woodsy and spicy. It's not an acidic pineapple. It is a nice sweetness with the vanilla in the pineapple, though. Really, really good stuff. Beautiful fragrance. God, they did such a good job with this one. I love smelling it. Just floating around the air. Just wonderfulness out in the air right now. If you haven't smelled it, it's affordable. I don't know if there's a way for you to sample it unless you just find a decant from a site that's selling decants. But if you like sweetness, if you like fruitiness and vanilla, that's the main thing. As long as you like vanilla and supporting notes on the side of that, you'll probably like this one. I mean, obviously there's no guarantees, but this one got a lot of love and continues to get love. And like I said, I definitely took part in the hype on this one because it is that damn good in my opinion. This is one that I think passes the hype check. I think it's warranted. Lattafa, Bade'e Honor and Glory. Now here comes one that was super hyped. And pretty much if you say it's good, people are convinced you're being paid. And I can tell you firsthand, I've never worked with the brand. I've never had anybody send it to me. I bought it. And I think it is that damn good. Gisada Ambassador Intense. I don't understand the disdain for it. I understand the love for it. I think the hype is warranted. I have gotten a few compliments in the few times I've worn it so far this year. It does remind me of Sauvage Elixir in the opening, but I've said it before, I'll say it again. They're riding down the same road, but after a few minutes, there's a fork in the road and they go different ways. It's kind of how I look at it. This is much more licorice heavy. It's not as sandalwood dominant. Honestly, this is not quite as warm overall. And Sauvage Elixir can be obnoxiously powerful, whereas this is really strong, but I don't think it's obnoxious. Really good. Like I said, obvious similarity in the opening. I think this is a very sexy smell. My wife seems to agree. I've actually worn this in the summer beachside for dinner, and it was totally fine. It was like 80 degrees outside that night, if I remember correctly. Nice little light breeze. It was totally fine. I actually had a Hawaiian shirt on and everything because we were eating beachside. And I think this is a very good fragrance. I don't think it deserves any of the flack. And as with everything, if you're skeptical, because a bunch of people are saying it's good on camera or in written reviews or written posts or whatever, you can always just try it for yourself and see if it's for you. It might be, it might not be. But as far as I'm concerned, I think the hype's warranted. I think it's a damn good fragrance. It's worth your consideration. In this Gisada's Ambassador Intense. Oh, buddy, is this going to bring the smoke? And I don't give a damn. That's what we're here for, right? Sboy by Draco for him. So they did send this to me. I did a dedicated live stream to this one, and it does smell good, but it doesn't smell $200+ good. And what do I mean by that? The quality here comes across as very mid-level designer to me, not luxury high-end level oils. Undeniable. Definitely will get you some compliments. Definitely smells really good. The wife likes it. I get the BR540 meets powdery sweetness, and like it is a nice smelling fragrance. It does smell good, but it smells like a $70 or $80 designer fragrance. That's the kind of profile and quality that I get from this. I don't think it's worthy of the price. I think it is a bit overhyped. I do think it is a bit overhyped. And look, for those of you that are watching this that love the fragrance, that's all good. Like, again, I say it smells nice. It is a good smelling fragrance. I totally see this getting compliments for people and everything. I kind of just wore it once and shelved it because it's nice, but it's not all it's cracked up to be for me anyways. I don't think it's just this mega panty dropper and all that. I mean, I'm happily married for 13 years. I don't have to go, I'm not going out hunting women anyways, but for those of you that are, I could see this working in your favor. Just know that for the money, you could spend less and get similar results if smelling like this is really important to you for the package that you're trying to present when you're out chasing women. Sure, I'm sure this can work in your favor, but there's a ton of other ones for less money that offer a similar scent profile, a similar quality, and will probably get similar reactions. So that's why I say I think overhyped. I think a little much on the overhype here. But again, not a bad fragrance. Just not the hype beast end all be all in my opinion. Again, that's Sboy by Draco for him. Now this got a bunch of hype. I definitely took part in this, and it gets mixed reviews from the audience. I've had people come in my comments when I've featured it talking about how awful it is, smells like old man, smells funky, this is terrible, smells like sweat. I've heard a lot of those things, but I've also heard the praise for Boss Bottled Elixir, the newest flanker in the Boss Bottled line. I'm a huge fan. If you like incense, this is beautiful. Incense, patchouli, light warm spice. Another one that people seem to compare to Sauvage Elixir. Aside from the spicy note, I don't get that tie-in because this is all about leafy, creamy patchouli and heavy frankincense. Heavy frankincense, where you don't really get all of that with Sauvage Elixir, at least not to this degree, but I think it's great. Very much oriental resinous and smoky with some patchouli. That's the best way I can put it, with a nice undertone of warm spice. Performance is great. I personally think the hype's justified on this one. I mean, it all comes down to a taste thing. I think it's a great fragrance. I love it. Very faint resemblance to Boss No. 6, the original DNA. That's the only gripe that I have with this one and the previous release, Boss Bottled Parfum, from the previous year. That's more of a green, like vegan leather, I believe they went for. It's like a vegetal leather kind of smell with some incense and iris. It's actually quite nice. Just smells nothing like Boss No. 6. Whereas this, you get a little bit more of a tie-in to Boss No. 6, but still pretty far-fetched for the most part. But I do think this is a great fragrance. Obviously, try before you buy, as with anything we're talking about here today. But I think the hype's justified on this one. I think it's a damn good fragrance. You know, it's Boss Bottled Elixir. Now, this got hyped up pretty hard early on, and I'd like to blame this on my good friend Justin Copeland. He put a lot of hype behind this. He was not the only one, but he is the one that sold me on it. And I then jumped on the hype train right along with him and others that were talking about how good and unique this is for a blue fragrance. Because you know I love my blue fragrances. Kenzo Homme Eau de Parfum, aquatic leather. It's a little resinous and it's kind of heavy, a little animalic, but saltwater marine aquatic at the same time. A little hint of some fresh green. It's such a great oddball fragrance, and it's a phenomenal performer for most people. That's a beast for me. And this was like $50-ish range. It was flying in and out of stock. It would get restocked, it would fly off the shelf. It would get restocked, it would fly off the shelf. This was a legitimate hype monster in 2023, especially early to mid-year. That's where it was at its peak, and it's still worth getting. This is if you're tired of generic aquatics, but you still like aquatic and you want something new, something a little different, leather aquatic, that's the way to describe this one. That's the olfactive profile to me. It makes for a unique experience that's quite enjoyable. Sets you apart from the crowd a bit, still has all that beautiful compliment-getting freshness, that aquatic watery blue smell, with some intrigue and some depth and some character from the notes that create this dark, rich leather accord. Beautiful stuff. Hype justified with Kenzo Homme Eau de Parfum. So, the moment everybody heard about this one, the hype began. So I was fortunate enough to know about the rumor and see the bottle prior to it being widely known. So I was excited. I was so glad when it hit that it was official, because Le Male Elixir took on a level of hype that not too many saw in 2023. So this is a lot of people's favorite release of the year or favorite designer release of the year. Some people despise it and don't understand. That's with everything. You're going to get something crazy hype, there's going to be naysayers. And I'm sure there's a lot of genuine just don't like it situations. It's every fragrance. It is what it is. But this, I'm a fan. I do get a nice lavender, minty green freshness. Some of the originals DNA with that thick loads of vanilla, robust, rich vanilla, powdery tonka bean. And the tobacco note here offers a darkness without smelling super earthy. Very warm and ambery monster. Such a great smelling monster performer. And look, that's a big deal for a lot of people. I wore it recently within the last 2 weeks, and nuclear. I gave myself 4 sprays and it went on and on and on with strong sillage. I was living in that sillage all day. Smelling it floating in the air. You gotta like vanilla though. It is definitely a vanilla bomb designer. So those have been done to death, don't get me wrong, and I know some people have disagreed with me in comment sections, but like I mentioned about that original DNA being in here, I do get Lamal's original DNA. It's just if you're comparing it 1-to-1, no, it's not near as fresh. No, it's not near as aromatic, but I do pick up those notes and that core scent profile in here. So I appreciate the release from Jean-Paul Gaultier. I think it's hype justified and hype warranted. Definitely get your nose on this one. It's starting to become easier and easier to find from discounters. Hell, the link below, it's in stock for 98 bucks, which is a lot cheaper than I paid for my 75 ml. And it's definitely worth checking out. I think the hype's justified with Lamal Elixir. So this one I'm a little torn on. I jumped in on the pre-order. Most people were not happy about the pricing. Hell, on TikTok Shop, it's like 100 bucks. Don't buy it from TikTok Shop. It's not a $100 fragrance. You can get it for 56 bucks in the link below if it's still in stock. I didn't check before I started recording, but I'll have a link to Fragrance Buy. They had it in stock for 56 bucks. We're talking about Rasasi's Hawas Ice. So I'm torn on this one because I do really like the fragrance. I do really like the fragrance, but there's an argument that I even posed myself that I think the original is slightly better still, and I don't think it's as hype worthy as it could have been. Now, it is pretty much what I expected it to smell like for the most part. You get a little bit of synthetic mint. It's a bit fresher, more aquatic overall than the original. It's not as sweet and fruity, though that DNA is still there. And you don't have all of those spices that kind of give it that spicy, resinous, slightly oriental feel from Hawas. So, and it is a really strong performer, but my Hawas does perform a little bit better. So I say, overall, I think when you just look at the hype that it got with the excitement and everything, I think it didn't live up completely to it, but it got close. So I kind of saved this one for last on purpose because I'm kind of split. Whereas I was very definitive on my thoughts with those, where I'm very split on Hawas Ice. Because it smells damn good. It's a damn good fragrance. I really, really like this one. But I don't think it's as good as the original. I don't think it quite lived. Some people will argue with it, and it's totally fine. This is just my opinion, but I don't think it quite lived up to the pre-order, pre-sale, pre-release hype that it garnered, because this stuff built steam quickly. I got to admit, I was super excited for it. And look, I'm so glad I have it. I don't regret a thing. I love the fragrance. When springtime rolls around, it's going to be hitting the weekly rotations again. But I think it missed the mark just ever so slightly. I do think it could have been a little bit better, but then again, it could have been a lot worse. So I'm going to say not quite reached the potential of the hype that it got, but it got really close. So I'm very torn on this one. So this one's not a clear-cut underhyped or overhyped. I'm going to say slightly didn't reach the hype that it got. Well, that's my 7 picks and my take on each of them. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. What are your thoughts on them? Overhyped, underhyped, just right? Love them, hate them? Whatever. Let me know. Keep it respectful in the comments, and let me know. Let everybody know what you think. Again, this was just my personal opinion, not an attack on any one influencer, content creator, viewer, consumer, anybody. Just my opinion, guys. Because the funny thing is, when you give your opinion, sometimes people get triggered by your opinion. And that really shouldn't be the case, guys. It's a lighthearted, fun, and quirky hobby, because we actually treat collecting perfumes and fragrances, smelling a variety of things, as a hobby. I'm a hobbyist, not just an enthusiast when it comes to this. Collector, in many ways, as a lot of you are that are watching this. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the 7 that we talked about in this video and you give them a spray now, you never know. You might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.